السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the Masjid Carpark podcast, episode 9.
Wa alaikum salam.
We hope everybody is well. Gentlemen, how are we?
Alhamdulillah, we just came back from a seafood restaurant, mashallah.
That's right, you guys went out for dinner, didn't you?
Yeah, it was beautiful.
How was it?
The snapper was delicious.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was like
fried?
No. It's cooked on
Charcoal.
Yeah,
That was next level.
So
Seriously?
Yeah, it was amazing. The smoke flavor in it, yeah, it was unbelievable.
And anything with charcoal, just I don't know what
It's
it
next
is.
level. It's
Yeah.
better than fried, better than anything I've had. That was the best snap I ever had.
Same, yeah.
Damn, so you were right, Irfan. MashaAllah.
Ilfan was right.
Yeah, and then we had the
snapper.
calamari. I tried because it's like a seafood. They got all the seafood there, so I saw the, oyster. Being a Hanbali and we're allowed to eat. Shafi'is are allowed to eat, any seafood basically. So I had to try the raw oyster.
How was it?
The first one, basically, I said I'll never have this again. It was just like it tasted like bait. That's my conclusion. This is what bait would taste if you bit into your packet of bait, whatever, rotting fish. That's what it would taste. So, but it was then they put lemon on it. We asked for Tabasco, it never came. But apparently, Lata was saying that if you put Tabasco, it's really
Much
nice.
better, yeah.
It enhances the flavor or something. But the lemon on it, mashallah, was the next three enjoyed.
How much did you guys eat?
We had a good amount. Chips, snapper,
MashaAllah.
prawn, garlic, prawn.
So you had prawns as well?
Yeah, the prawns were nice.
Calamari?
The prawns are really good.
Damn, I missed out, man.
It was like it was drenched in butter, the prawns.
Yeah. Garlic butter. Yeah, it was very nice. Yeah.
What else?
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, we just digest.
Still
digesting now.
So if they're snoring on this podcast and it's only me talking,
You know why.
word to the
Yeah.
wise, they've fallen asleep. But then I won't be edited out. I'm liking this. Close your eyes, gentlemen, and have a nice sleep.
What about you, Mr. Wajid? How was your
What about me?
weekend?
My
Or your
week has been pretty quiet. My son's growing up. Week 2,
Inshallah.
so he survived week 2 with me, which is an achievement. Alhamdulillah, he's getting there. He had his chop this week,
Ooh.
so that was all I can say is don't watch it.
Yeah.
I'm still recovering.
Yeah, some men can handle it, others can't.
Oh no, this one I don't know. I don't know.
It looks like they're butchering. Like, I mean, you gotta do it. It's, if you don't understand what's going on, just when you see blood and, there's cutting and things, and okay. Like my cousin had it. I remember my cousin. Now he's a big alim in Pakistan now. but when he had it done, he was like 9 or 10. I don't know why they left it so late.
Subhanallah.
But I remember they just called the local barber.
What?
Oh, no.
There's no anesthetic. And 10 years old, 4 men are holding him, both arms, both legs. And they put like a little, those big plates, the ones that we eat together, just to catch all the blood.
This is just getting worse and worse.
It was it was so visceral and so, because we watched it, we're just looking
They
horror.
called the local barber. I still haven't got past that.
No, the barber's the one because he's got blades.
What about the doctor?
What doctor? So they did it for him, and they did it for him, and he was howling. I remember the howling when they're cutting him, and there's 4 men holding him.
Oh, this is pretty graphic. But I don't know if this should be on the podcast.
This is I witnessed. This is part of my childhood. I think he's the same age as me, so
That explains
41,
that explains
42.
a lot.
So he was howling. Yeah, that's why I'm merciless. But he was howling. That memory is ingrained in my mind. Like it was the horror of it all. Like they shouldn't let the kids watch. They're
But
not.
this is back in the village, right?
No, this is in Karachi, in the city. This is in Metropolis. It's one of the
Then what are
biggest
you
cities in
talking
the
about,
world.
doctor? Why wouldn't they call a doctor?
Because the barber's just there, up the alley. He's at the end of the alley. Where are you going to get a doctor from in that area, And it costs, he's probably cheaper as well. I think those are the factors that went into the decision. Maybe now they've changed and they're doing...
Daddy's going all out for his son. I
Huh?
called the $50 barber.
Yeah, so that was... so I saw for my son as well, and it was... but when I remember, I can remember the blood, I can remember the just the way the
Bro, this is getting way too graphic right now. It's freaking me out. I've got images playing in my head.
Yeah.
I need to go and get
let's
some
change the
counseling.
topic. No, let's.
This is the end of the podcast. Thank you for joining us.
No. it's
I
not-
know
it's
you
not.
won't like this one.
Yeah. So
But-
if brothers are doing it, if you haven't had a horrible experience in your childhood like me,
Don't
which
watch
has
it.
desensitized it, don't just let the doctor do his thing or be there and just look away. You don't need to look.
Yeah, I actually asked him if I can video it beforehand, and he's like, "Look, I used to let people do that, but what was it? But somebody showed the video at this guy's 21st, the parents,
That's horrible.
and this kid hadn't seen it till then either. This guy,
No way.
My
so
parents mutilated
apparently,
me.
like
Yeah.
massive
No,
trauma.
it's not something you should look at. Like it's not something to be like. I was with one alim. We went for udhiyah, like a young alim,
What's udhiyah?
qurbani, for slaughtering. He just saw the blood and nearly fainted. We had to catch him. So some people can't handle blood, and so.
By,
But anyway.
by slaughtering women like sheep and cows.
All right.
So FYI.
yeah, exactly.
I'm so glad you picked up on that one.
Yeah.
Next minute,
Um,
the Masjid Carpark.
It's madrasa
podcast.
students actually.
This is not the
This-
Masjid Carpark podcast.
Yeah.
It's subliminal messages. Oh no.
Yeah. So yeah.
What about yourself? What's been happening?
We're getting ready for our first jalsa, which is like an annual graduation ceremony for madrasa for our
So why is
first
it
batch
called,
of
why is it
alims.
called Jalsa? Why isn't it called a graduation ceremony?
Oh, because our madrasa system in the subcontinent where our lineage goes through and so forth, and our ulama go through, that's what they call it. So madrasa, it's a annual jalsa or a khatam al-Bukhari ceremony. Like this is students who study 6-7 years. Sometimes, in some cases overseas, 8 years, and then the whole 8 years culminates in. For some students, it might have been in madrasa for 11-12 years because they're in hifz there as well. So it culminates in the final lesson of Bukhari. Like, because the final year you read Bukhari, Muslim, Tirmizi, Abu Dawood, Nasa'i, made 6 authentic collections and other books as well. And with the teachers from cover to cover. And then on this specific ceremony is basically the completion of Bukhari, which is sort of like the official end of your alim studies.
Mashallah.
So it's a very emotional,
Inshallah.
it's like a build
So
up.
that's after 7 years he's graduating.
Yeah. So we'll be having our first, because we've had, like when we started the alim course like 7-8 years ago, it's not like a bachelor's, right? If you establish a 6-month or a 1 year or 2 year diploma, all right, this year, next year, our students will finish. But when he started an alim course, like you're basically, okay, this is going to take about 7-8 years of investment. That's how you have to think long term. But once it starts, alhamdulillah, now we have 6 classes, and bismillah, inshallah, every year we'll have a graduation, for the coming future. But that's like you're sort of looking very far. You have to have a very long term view of that. So it's mashallah, alhamdulillah, Allah's tawfiq, we're getting there. And we got another 4 or 5 weeks before we do that. So we're going to be having it already, inshallah, in Doncaster Mosque. We'll be having the ceremony because we don't have a big site here where we are teaching. So we'll be inviting a lot of our community and mainly teachers and parents, from the immediate community. People have over the years have helped us. Alhamdulillah, they see that as a student finishing hifz as well. So we'll have 4 students finish the alim course, another 2 that finished last year, but they finished it in Malaysia and they never got a jalsa. So last year when they came back, because they were in like a really bad lockdown. So
Yeah, the ones you were telling us about, I think a few
so
weeks ago.
because they didn't finish, they didn't have a ceremony or graduation or nothing, so they'll be included as well, just to to appreciate, mashallah, and celebrate their efforts, inshallah.
Imagine you finish your alim course, get off the plane, welcome to quarantine.
Yeah. No, but they went through that quarantine over there. Their madrasa had like 150, 200 cases. Teachers
Yeah, I
had it,
remember you
students
telling
had
us.
it. Yeah, it was really bad. They were like a epicenter almost.
The Masjid Carpark is a KU Studios production. KU Studios is a Madrasa Kashful Ulum initiative for the Australian Muslim community. Kashful Ulum is the only full-time non-government funded boarding madrasa down under. It relies solely on contributions from Muslims who want to be part of the development of deen within our community and our country. Please go to supportku.com to do your bit and contribute.
at the end of the day, you're studying the alim course. You're doing it for Allah subhanahu wa
Allahu
ta'ala.
Akbar.
Yeah.
It's not done for people or celebration or sweets or whatever acknowledgement of people. But it's good to mark the milestone.
That's a massive milestone.
Yeah, in
it is a
someone's
massive
life, because
achievement.
basically they qualify as ulama, and hopefully they'll go into the community and serve the community and teach people deen, inshallah, and work for the betterment of the community, inshallah.
That's an interesting question. When you graduate, is it almost anticlimactic? Because you've been building up to this, the 7 years, you're constantly thinking about it.
No. Ilm itself is just.
You'd be looking forward to it, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, you would, but you know that, like,
No.
I suppose I'm thinking back to, you know, when you finish uni or whatever, or when you finish
It's
year
not
12.
like uni. I'll tell you, it's not like uni.
That feeling?
No, it's not like. I've been through uni twice, bachelor's and master's. It's not like uni
What's the difference?
because it's deen.
Yeah.
It's deen, and like
Get on the
you've
dunya.
struggled for deen, and it's a total different experience.
Subhanallah.
Yeah, you've invested like 6 years. Firstly, is the length of time you've invested.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
You
It's
know,
a
number
it's
one.
a
Number
massive
two
amount of
is
time.
it's like a deenie thing.
Yeah.
It is an achievement because it's like it's not just about getting a degree or a qualification. It's actually about acquiring skills that all these ulama, they feel confident that, okay, you're an alim and you can continue the legacy and you can continue teaching people, you know. So like if we're not there, then you guys can teach, sort of thing. It's much more, you know, much more.
So I have a question. On that day, all the participants, are they already like graduating, or is that like one more step that they have to go through?
The
like
jalsa
like
where
a test or an
No,
exam?
it's more of a it's more of an acknowledgement and a shukr for the ni'mah of studying and teaching.
Yeah.
And it's an achievement, and like it's in the calendar of the madrasa. It's probably the biggest annual. So if you put an annual schedule, it's probably the biggest event, and it's just basically to focus everybody. And the last dars of Bukhari Sharif is also very unique as well in what the last hadith of Bukhari, you know.
subhanAllah, is that what you read at the jalsa, the last hadith? So they
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
finish their lesson in the jalsa.
Yeah. So it's it's amazing. It's like it's nice.
It's just a question, like, you know how we get certificate or whatever when you finish uni, you get that degree. What do these guys get? Do they get a certificate, or how does?
Some madrasas have formal certificates, some have informal certificates, some will have a letter, you know. So it's not like there's no requirement to do that, but some madrasas will make it very formalized, exam result, transcript, and all that sort of stuff.
What about you guys?
We don't know yet. We give them annual reports, like more like school reports, and then for this one, yeah, possibly maybe we drop something that can be done later on as well. But in the past, some ulama, they would just get a piece of paper and just scribble like he studied with us and we trust him, you know, like not
Subhanallah.
because if you think about it, if you go, the asl of ilm is what happened between Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and
Sallallahu
Sahaba.
alaihi wasallam.
There was no ceremonies. There was no.
Okay.
Or Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said haniyan, like he said to the Sahabi, congratulations on the knowledge. Like he asked him a question, he answered. Rasulullah said, congratulations to you on your knowledge, understanding. Right? That's so there is a acknowledgement of a person's appreciating, celebrating someone's knowledge, like they know. So there is a basis in Sunnah for this. But how you sort of present it and how formal, like you have some madrasas like in Pakistan, they'll have a convocation, which is how would you say, like a proper ceremony. Like they will teach you. Like one of the muftis was telling me this week, because he did the mufti course there in Pakistan, the madrasa, and they like, you know, you have to do rehearsal and dress a proper way. Yeah, but that's a very polished version of the madrasa thing. Then you have UK, some madrasas, they'll try to do it like, you know, with the square flat hat stuff.
No, they didn't.
No.
Yeah, there's madrasas that have done that as well, yeah.
With the square flat hat.
Yeah. So that's just more copying and trying to make it. You have to understand the UK. If you got Cambridge and Oxford and all these things around you,
Yeah.
so you're trying to push Islamic knowledge and sciences into the general educational field. So, you know, you have to match them up on certain, if it's not against deen, you know. So, but, you know, I would never do that, but it's, but yeah. Yeah, so, you know, it's something that madrasas decide how they want to set it up, how they want to present it.
MashaAllah. So it's a proud day for the madrasa.
Alhamdulillah, inshallah.
Let's not go to, it's a proud day for the madrasa. It reminds me of what Eddie said this week.
Eddie.
Collingwood.
It's
A proud day for Collingwood.
Any Collingwood supporters?
No, mate.
No footy?
Carlton.
Essendon.
Hey, me too. Essendon.
Essendon.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you guys?
Rahmatullah. I don't know where they are now.
What did Eddie say?
What was it when they had that report that was instigated, well, not instigated, well, because of Lumumba's what's it called, accusations of racism. So he was basically not laughed out, but just shunned from Collingwood. And so they, what's the word? So what they did was they tabled a report.
Yeah.
So they got somebody to do a report to look at racism, and they found that it was structural within Collingwood. So there's a lot of cases of racist incidents, like, you know, the whole Adam Goods, like, you know, Mr. Eddie, he's always putting his foot in it. And then apologising later on, saying it was a gaffe. So this week, when that report was actually released, it was finished in December.
Yeah.
But because it was leaked to the media, that's why they released it.
Wow.
So they weren't releasing it, and that's when he fronted up to the press conference and said it's a proud day for Collingwood. Basically, what he's trying to do is,
that guy needs some training in like how to deal with, you know, the media and press and what to say and what not to say.
But this is a man of the media. He is of the media, like, but since he's young. So is it that he needs training, or is it that he just what's inside's coming out?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. True. Yeah.
Like, and then after that, it's just like it was just an on-air gaffe. It was just a joke. Like, I shouldn't have said it like that.
He almost seems like one of those, you know, people that are from, you know, the Australia white policy only. I guess he would have been around.
He's relatively young. He's not
the way I look at it is, it's one of those. I'm not racist. I have a black friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. He probably. I don't think he's racist. I don't think he sees the gravity. I don't think he's racist. But I think the statements that he makes, like, we got to define what a racist is, because there's shades of racism. So, is he a white supremacist? Probably not.
No, I don't.
You know, and is he someone that is probably dumb about what's the right words to say? You know, what's culturally sensitive words, or words that are not offensive? Yeah, probably. That's what's more it is. And he's probably never learns his lesson, and he doubles down on like.
But if you're a media personality, how do you never learn your lesson? Over and over and over again.
You're just dumb. Like, he could be just dumb. That's.
But you can't be that successful and be that dumb.
Yeah, but he's probably successful from the past, and then from you know, he's never sort of taken the time to learn these new, you know, culturally appropriate terms.
Yeah. What you have to give the guy credit for what he's done, how he turned Collingwood around. That's a
I agree.
Massive,
definitely, he's done a huge amount. Right. Well, he's stepped down this week.
Yeah, today, isn't it? Yeah, he had a press conference, and he stepped down. So he done the right thing eventually, and to save the club and whatever, you know, to all the pain. So obviously pressure came onto him, but I think he maybe now realizes, or hopefully he realizes that you know, words do matter. And swearing, I mean, just looking from an Islamic perspective, is swearing allowed? No. Is insulting people's lineage allowed? No. Is insulting people's color allowed? No. These are considered things of jahiliyyah, right? So from a Muslim perspective, all these things do matter, and you're held accountable for it, then obviously take it as a Muslim, that his statements of like making fun of a race and so forth does matter, you know. It does matter. He has offended people, you know. So he has to.
Well, what's a joke to one person?
Exactly.
Could be deeply offensive to somebody else.
Exactly.
And you know.
And you can't hide behind everybody does it, and everybody. This is what society does.
Or it was just a slip of the tongue.
He probably just used to people and the type of people that he hangs around with. Like he's in his like mid to late 50s, so he probably grew up, and all the people around him at the top of Collingwood and so forth are probably the same. People around him in the power structure, as you said in the report that came out. So because that's there in the generation that he's grown up with, the people around him, they probably just talk about it and joke, make fun of things. You know, then sometimes that slips out when you're talking all the time. Because this guy is talk all the time. He's always on. He's on radio.
He's on everything.
Yeah.
The time. What was his nickname? Mr. Everywhere Man or something like that? Eddie Everywhere.
Yeah. So you know, you're gonna sometimes things are gonna come out. You let the filter's not on. These guys, they probably got drunk a little bit. You know, so you don't know. I don't know. Non-Muslims, when they're drinking, they're not drinking, but.
No, but he wasn't drinking at the time when he was.
No, I'm just saying, like, you know, imagine he drinks and says some stupid joke or, you know, offensive joke. Then, yeah. So it's if he's drunk, then he'll say something stupid or something like that. It's not an excuse.
And to be fair as well, I think there is some sort of level of racism in all aspects. Like, human beings are just
Racist.
Yeah, at some level. I don't think there's anyone out there that has never said or never thought or never said something racist.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, it's
Allahu alam.
No, you're right. I think it depends on how far. Let's say one race, a certain race, does something over and over again, right? In a certain area that let's say you live in, it's your neighborhood, and a certain nationality does negative things, wrong things, over and over again. I'm just giving a scenario.
You know why everyone's laughing?
Huh? No, I'm not talking about anything. It depends on
I'm staying out of this one.
No. It depends on the.
I'll have a slip of the tongue.
You go to some areas and there'll be like junkies from a certain nationality, right? You go to another area.
No, there'll be junkies from a certain nationality because they stand out more. You can't see the other junkies.
No, they are. Anyway, let's not get. I'm not going to get specific.
It's a proud day for Shaykh Khalid.
No. What I'm saying is, if you live in that area, and
that's what you've interacted with,
and then you say, "Oh, those bloody so and so," like they're always like that, that's racism, considered racism. But if you push a person enough, if one race pushes another race enough and ruins their life enough, then, like you said, because there will be something come out. Now, if everybody's nice to each other all the time, right? So it can happen. It's very easy. People can become racist very easily.
Yeah, well, look at
and
that.
past grievances and past things, like what they've grown up with, their parents. Like you see those, I remember someone saying, a very white Australian saying, "Oh, those dirty Arabs," A statement like that.
That's quite racist.
That's racist, but you got to look at the guy. He's like 90. He's like 90 years old, 80 years old. He was probably a Gallipoli or something. He's probably in the Middle East.
Turkey though.
Yeah, whatever. Like, they don't. He's probably in the Middle East.
They're all Arabs.
Yeah. Like
even that in itself.
Like they'll have little statements, about, or someone's dark and say those darkies, Like I've heard that, from people. I've heard that from Muslims, white Muslims, about a certain nationality. So it's a racism is a human
trait.
Yeah.
Or,
people like looking for this.
Thinking
they
you're
like
superior
looking for
to someone else.
Think yourself you're better because that it makes you feel better about your, like, whatever you don't have in your life. So it is about that. It is also about, like, you blame your woes on them, you blame your situation, on the other.
Yeah, but
or there's historical grievances.
So we're going. I get, but this is a footy club where you've had some amazing Aboriginal or Indigenous players. You've had some amazing African players. You've had some amazing players that are not your generation.
That report has been brought into question as well. Even though Eddie McGuire he resigned, that report has also been questioned as well. The aspects of the report that are not accurate.
I didn't read about that.
Yeah. There was something that came up that because
what wasn't accurate?
There's issues in the report as well.
What wasn't accurate?
I can't remember exactly, but there was questions raised about certain interactions that were, like, whoever wrote the report.
It was almost like they were sensationalizing it. That makes sense.
These woke, you know my view on these.
Let's not go there.
Woke guys. They're out. They smell blood in the water. They're ruthless.
I understand that, but this guy's job was to write an impartial report.
Yeah.
Not to smell blood in the water and sensationalize it.
That atmosphere is there though at the moment. Like in today's time and era.
Yeah.
Everything's just over.
The cancel culture.
It's just overhyped, over centralized, and it's just everyone is just so easily hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're hurting my feelings by telling me that. I'm offended that you think I'm easily hurt.
I think there are serious racist, I think there's who cares about a footy club? There's actually
mate, there's a lot of people that care about a footy club.
There's more serious
to you. There's more serious things to you.
No. More serious race issues and discrepancies in living standards or lifespan or incarceration. They're actually more, and on the international level, I mean, there are people in Libya, Africans being sold as slaves.
Now?
Yes, now.
Yeah.
After the collapse of Gaddafi's regime or whatever, there's actually slave markets. There's videos came out. Go online. You see the slave markets, Africans being sold in Libya. Now you're telling me what Eddie McGuire said, this is like these little when it comes to serious international issues, or actually where it matters, like people's lives they've literally been sold as slavery in the modern era, or serious like Northern Territory where there's serious problems. These people, the same people that talk all this woke nonsense, they're the ones that will not lift a finger to help those people in the north. They won't actually do anything else. They will not do anything else to actually help the actual people, the actual racism.
Yeah, but the thing is, where I have to disagree with you on that is that it's not important, or there's more important things. Yes, in Libya, for example, that's what's important there. We live in Australia.
Yeah, in Australia, there's a
footy
whole
is seen
list.
as a religion.
Astaghfirullah.
Right?
Yeah.
But you understand what I'm saying, right? So people take footy so seriously. It is
not really,
bro. You go
really.
to someone's house, their whole house is decked
Yeah, I
up
know
in their
people like
colours,
that. But
right? So it is taken extremely seriously.
No,
right?
I don't think so.
This footy has a major impact on life.
Yeah.
Within the country.
I think that's just mostly Victoria though, because if you go to Queensland, and,
there you've got another code of footy, but it's still there. Aussie rules football. Sport is an integral part of Australian life.
Yeah,
I mean, every kid plays sport. It's just it's what it is.
Yeah.
Right. And so when something that I suppose an institution that is regarded so highly, or that has so many members, or that has so much impact on people, when they're doing this, of course that impact's going to flow down.
I don't think so. I don't think it's that important. I think I have to disagree
dealing
with structural, whether it be structural racism or just getting them at least on the same page of the rest of society, it's especially Aborigine, because that's it's the racism specific to do that. Indigenous Australians, I think that there are much more serious issues. I think these people in cities who like just push paper and stuff, they actually don't know. They will never travel Northern Territory or Northern Queensland or Western Australia. They don't know actually what's happening. That's part of the problem, because Canberra's so far from everything. Trying to know, I think one of the prime ministers went there, at least tried. I think Tony Abbott or somebody. Actually,
Abbott.
I think so. I think he actually
of
went
all the
there.
people.
Yeah, I mean, it's not totally bad as a human being, but
Abbott's actually all right.
Yeah, he actually went there.
You just like his budgie smugglers, bro.
Yeah,
you know when the bushfires happened.
He's a CFA volunteer.
He was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, he trying to understand, making policies of a place that's so far away. There's some more serious issues. We've got much more serious issues. These are all distractions, I reckon.
So how do we bring those serious issues into the light?
It's not our job. I mean, we can talk about it here, but really the people who are pulling the levers of power, who want to spend the money in those places, they have to do something about it. Like you can't, the little man like us, maybe bring awareness about it, but really it's the police. They have to.
But isn't it up to the little men
in Australia,
right?
To vote the right
average
person.
guy to make heard what they want, and if enough people make their voice heard, then it's up to a politician to represent those people.
I would disagree with that, because these guys are elected to. Yes, you're right. They represent what you're, I guess, what you want, right? But also, they have a sense of responsibility to understand, what certain communities need, because that's who they're governing as well. Even the people that didn't vote for them.
Yeah.
But that's what we're saying.
But then they have to look at the majority, right? The needs of the majority, and that has to be, because they're the ones who are going to vote them in. So you have to sort of go for the lowest common denominator, but they look at the majority community, which is 90% are living in the eastern states, on the east coast. On the east coast, number one. Number two, they're living in major cities. So those are the people that are deciding, and then the type of person they bring in, whose interest they're looking for.
Yeah.
You can't come into power. Unfortunately, it will never be a proper agenda of, in Parliament. It will never be a proper agenda, or not be dealt with properly, because the Indigenous community specifically. I mean, I don't know why we're going there, but they're not a political block to affect elections in a big way. A couple of 100,000, I think 400, 500,000, something.
And the interesting thing about that is that there are some Indigenous communities that have made a massive impact. But you could say, for example, Indigenous Australians were never given a chance to make that impact. I mean, have a look at the Africans. There was Africans that moved to India. that were sold as slaves.
Well,
And
I wouldn't call that moving.
yeah, okay. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I think someone in the United States said that about that, that they called their slaves that came to America migrant workers.
No.
Yeah, it was actually a politician that said it.
That's like, what was it, ScoMo, when he said, what did he say about the First Fleet? They didn't have a fantastic day either.
The convicts.
When they first
But that's
landed
true.
here.
But that's true. That's not false. The convicts were actually also Muslim. They were also oppressed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To say that they're not oppressed, they were actually oppressed. They actually, like someone stole bread and they sent months in a journey, halfway around the world. I mean, one day punishment would have been enough for a loaf of bread. Months journey, because the British Empire made a policy, we need to populate this new land now that we own.
Yeah, that's so depressing.
Yeah, so they were like slaves in a way as well, right? They were basically used, and even if you go further than that, even not very long, indentured labor. Read about the history of indentured labor by the British, Jamaica, all these countries. Look, after post-slavery, they basically sort of brought people into slavery, like through quote-unquote indentured labor. Like in Bundaberg, in Bundaberg, they bring from all these Pacific Islanders people brought to work there. So this is,
It's a big topic to unpack.
Yeah.
But then you have a look at the success of some of the guys that went like Malik Ambar.
We read about this. We studied it this week. Malik Ambar.
Malik Ambar.
So his name, what was the actual name?
Chapu.
Chapu was his...
Not El.
El Chapu.
El Chapu.
El Chapu.
Al Chapu, not El. Al.
Chapu was a kid he was enslaved at the age of 12. He was from the Oromo people in Ethiopia, where Lada's one of the Oromo.
Shout out to my Oromo brothers and sisters. Lada, go for it.
Shout out. Yeah.
That wasn't very exciting, bro.
Yeah.
Try again.
So Malik Ambar, he was enslaved, and that's another issue. I reckon, the Black Lives Matter movement is problematic because all the weird stuff that they...
the organization is...
The organization is problematic, yeah.
Not the people.
Yeah, not
the organization.
No. The people is a problem. The people running that organization is a problem.
Yeah, but we're not talking about the average person that agrees.
People
that
use the
Black
slogan,
Lives
most people are ignorant of it. And they're very insidious because like a few months ago on their website, they had an anti-family slogan and so forth. Like,
what?
We're against the patriarchal, like basically the normal family unit. Like
husband, wife, children.
Yeah.
They were against that.
Yeah. With like a village and...
This podcast is brought to you by Australasian Home Developments, osthomes.com.au. Whether you want to build a new home, renovate, extend, or you have a heritage restoration or multi-unit development, Australasian Home Developments will be there every step of the way. They are Melbourne's premier end-to-end construction company for homeowners, investors and developers. With all the government incentives available, what better time than the present to move into your own home? Sounds daunting, and sometimes we can even put it in the too hard basket. It's only hard if you don't know what you're doing. That's where Australasian Home Developments come to the fore. They will simplify everything from designing your home to helping you in choosing the colour of your curtains if you need it. Give them a call on 1300 661 284. That's 1300 661 284, or go to osthomes.com.au. You can also find them on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter.
So these three women who basically, but they're anti-family, they are an anti-family organization. It is a Trojan horse into mainstream society where they're trying to destroy the family.
But do you think that's their intention?
I think so.
Or is that their intention?
It's on their About Us agenda of their thing is to remove this, to get rid of the patriarchy.
But they didn't say get rid of family.
No, they said that in that context. They said if you read it, go online, go to Wayback Machine on archive.org.
They use
check
smart
old
words.
And then what they did is now they changed it. They removed that in their website because they would have got pushback. People were checking it. This is not a good organization in the sense of they've got other things that are attached to Black Lives Matter is what? Incarceration, policing, structural racism. These are the main things, right? Everybody gets that. Muslims, non-Muslim society. But and the reason why this thing exists because these are centuries of zulm done to black people. That's the reality. And Muslims had a big hand in it, unfortunately, because this goes back to slavery days. We're talking about centuries of slavery. Arab slave traders were famous in Africa. they like this is not out of like jihad or war, prisoners of war. They were running the whole slave business. They used to go like if you read the Oromo, the Malik Ambar, right? How he was captured. Basically, it was Muslims and Christians, Ethiopians. They were both like competing for slaves. So they saw this Oromo tribe and so forth as raw material to be sold. They were like stock almost. That's how they viewed it. All right, we got a quota of 1,000 slaves this year. They'll go in and raid villages, take people, kids, women, whatever, pack them. And where did they send them? So this is on the east coast of Africa, right? So if you go to Zanzibar, read the history of that. Zanzibar is called Zanzibar Zanjibar, right? It's the slave. It's a slave market. So who's running the slave market? It's Arabs, like it's from Oman, the Sultan of Oman, all these. Where are the slaves going from these people? They're going to the Ottoman Empire. They're going to the Persian Empire. They're going to the Arab world. They're going to Cairo, to Central Asia. But this was done for centuries and centuries.
So this is basically just stealing innocent people.
Yeah. This got nothing to do with
so
wars.
This is not Islamic anyway.
No, it's not Islamic. So the reason why Allahu Alam, there's a lot of the reasons why we cannot say this happened because of that. But when you're doing zulm on that mass scale, like it's a production, I don't know how you put it, like industrial scale of zulm.
Yeah.
And you're doing this, and on the west coast, of course, the Europeans came. So Senegal, all these countries, they now the Europeans were more involved in the slave market and markets then.
But to be fair as well, the Africans were heavily involved too.
Yeah, like in both. Yeah, exactly.
Each tribe going for another tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah. The slave traders who supplied these slaves were Africans themselves.
Yeah.
But the Arab slave trade is famous. Like there's a whole thing about Arab slave traders. So when you do that for centuries, it wasn't done like for generation. It was done for centuries and centuries, right up to the 19th century. Right. So when they were selling these Africans in Libya, it tells you it's amazing how quickly 50, 60 years of normal world relations, whatever, like living the modern
just
state.
goes upside down.
And they quickly what did they go for? Like look what they went for in Libya. The black, he's lower than us. We can sell his life is worth it like a commodity. Just like that. And that's absence of real Islam and absence of you just buying and selling people. So this is something Muslims don't talk about. And this is where we were reading and discussing about Malik Ambar the other day.
Yeah.
A unique person who came out of that situation. And the guy who bought him, what was his name? Qasim al-Baghdadi.
Yeah.
Qasim, yeah, that's
so
it.
He was
took him to Baghdad so that he would...
Baghdad. That was like straight out of some sort of
Baghdad.
George Bush.
US movie. Yeah. You're
Baghdad.
either with us or
Like
against
that.
us. We went to Baghdad.
Baghdad. Anyways, his owner took him to Baghdad and taught him, how to read and write, taught him mathematics. Then eventually he handled all his business affairs and his finances. It was actually smart so that he could sell him for
That's correct.
a higher price.
That's what his owner did. He's basically developed. He basically got an old house.
Yeah.
Or done it up.
Yeah.
And then resold it. So he was flipping slaves.
Pretty much in a nutshell. Anyways, he took this guy to India. What was it? Southern India?
Yeah, in the Deccan region.
Deccan region. Yeah.
Which way Abdul Wajid is from.
Oh, well, there you go.
Lata.
Yeah. They probably have involvement in it. He's a Mirza, so they work for someone and they he owes you reparations.
Oh, here we go.
No, you're the one who your forefathers were fast, they got away.
We got away, yeah.
Wait, what
That's
are you
why I'm
talking
here.
about, man?
Wait, one second.
My people allowed his people to become like kings.
Yeah, no. He never became.
How was that?
Your forefathers could be one of the slave owners, slave sellers. Possible?
Allahu alam. Allahu alam. Who knows,
should
man?
check these.
Lata's like the
Check
most
my
hated Oromo person from Oromo in Melbourne
I'm
tomorrow.
not. Yeah. Disclaimer, no. This is just part of the podcast.
Lata is a normal young man
So-
that has grown up in the city of Melbourne.
Yes.
So he
And
ends
he
up in
loves
the
meat pies and Coke.
he ends up in the Deccan, Hyderabad Deccan. Is that
No, not Hyderabad, Ahmedabad.
No, Ahmedabad's in Gujarat.
No, but that area was known as the Deccan Plateau.
Oh, okay.
The whole area. So
It's
he
like
never got near
predates-
Hyderabad.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh,
it
okay.
was Bijapur and
Nothing to do
Ahmedabad.
with us, man.
Is
Right.
that, is that
You got
north or
nothing.
south?
That's
Hyderabad?
what is it? It's central. west.
Okay.
That area. That's
Very
where
far
Ahmedabad-
from where the slaves were.
Yeah, really, really far. Let's put it that way. But
Conveniently.
the fact that when he went there, like he actually distinguished himself in battle
Yeah.
because he was brought up for war. And what got him was
No, Qasim Baghdadi sold him to a local ruler.
yes,
Not a ruler. He sold him to another
advisor to a ruler.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
That
who
was an Oromo slave.
was
Yeah.
also an Oromo slave.
That's right.
But then he was doing too well, so the other advisors went behind his back and told the king, this guy's doing X, Y, and Z. Who knows what they told him, but
He got killed by the actual king.
yeah, he got killed by the actual king, which rendered him free. Because there was
Yes.
a rule in that region where once if your
Indian politics,
Yeah.
ruthless, cutthroat. They,
if your owner's dead, you're free.
You're
Yeah.
free. And then what was it?
Yes, and then he continued traveling through that region, collecting or not, but just
joined the
basically
army.
He,
joining
no,
the
yeah,
army.
he made his own
Trans-
army, mercenaries.
Yeah,
yeah. Made his
100,
own-
was it 150 of them or something?
Yeah, who kept joining, and then what did he do? He met a sultanate.
No. What happened was there was he came under the influence of a ruler, like he worked for a ruler, but that ruler got killed. Then the auntie or something, Sultana,
The mother.
the mother,
the
yeah,
mother
she
of that
became the
ruler,
like
that's-
ruler, regent, whatever.
Right, all right. Yeah.
Because the nephew, the one that was supposed to rule, he was too young, and she was also amazing because she was like she went in the battle.
She
with
was a
arm-
power breaker. Yeah.
Yeah, she was
The way they described her on a horse with full veil,
Yeah.
and
and she
armor.
would jump in and armor, and she would jump into the thick of battle.
Yeah,
Damn shame.
yeah. So then, like,
you
yeah,
don't want
so
to mess
he-
with that.
because he was loyal to her, and anyway, things worked out in a way that he moved into positions where, and he assumed more power. He collected more power as time went by, and he built. Then he became basically he was a real power figure, even though there was a nominal like ruler figurehead at the front from the royal family. Eventually, he brought someone that
He married his daughter to the prince.
and then when that prince he married he had like a Persian wife,
wife.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
So-
she became racist.
Towards,
Yeah,
She
yeah,
used to
yeah.
say, "Oh,
towards his daughter.
and
Yeah,
father-in-law.
and
It's
father-in-law,
just
yeah.
descended from black slaves, like using that word,
Yeah.
like
So he just had them executed. Malik Ambar had them executed.
poisoned.
Yeah, he had them. Had them both killed anyway.
Yeah.
And then he brought another nephew
His
or cousin.
grandson.
His
No, it was
grandson.
his
Oh,
grandson,
like a little
his
kid,
daughter's
like a-
husband.
yeah.
His daughter's son.
Yeah, so he brought him and he put him into power, and but in reality he was ruling, and he lived
He died of old age.
80 at the age of 80.
Yeah, that's pretty
like
impressive.
50 years.
Yeah.
The big thing was I found it a bit weird, like learning about him was him fighting the Mughal, Akbar and Aurangzeb and all these people, Shah Jahan. He fought all the Mughal big guys.
Yeah, and he won because of his strategies.
Yeah, and the strategy employed like Hindu, like lightly armed Hindu horsemen, cavalry, and they caused hell for the Mughals. But in his lifetime, he humiliated and defeated them. His son, when he came into power, he wasn't like his father, as it always is the case, and then the Mughals overran his son. But interesting personality, you can say, in Islamic history.
It's definitely someone to read further.
I think they
about
made a
and look at.
movie about him or something. The Hindus they love him because
Yeah, he really. What was it in one of the Hindu states? He actually gave back rights and land because all the land used to be the sultans, but he actually gave it to the locals or the nobles of that time. And most of these nobles were Hindu nobles, but that backfired on him because they turned on him later on, and sided with the Mughals.
That's an Oromo trait.
what's that?
Too trusting.
You reckon?
Yeah. Even right now, I mean, if you look at the state of Oromo people, we're still oppressed in Ethiopia.
But don't you have an Oromo? How is that?
Oromo.
Oromo. Don't you have an Oromo prime minister or president?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's half. To be honest, you've got to look at how the person is raised, and how they identify themselves. And he doesn't identify as an Oromo.
He doesn't.
Well, he's not a president of Oromo. He's a president of the whole of Ethiopia.
Yeah.
What percentage is Oromo?
In Ethiopia, probably about 40, maybe 50%.
Okay, it's a significant part of
Yeah.
the population. But so that means he can't identify as like he is, but you're a president. Like imagine like Australian prime minister say, I'm like white,
Yeah, but they do.
But they do, yeah.
But they don't go around identifying as white. They're prime minister for the whole country. So you can't expect him to, probably not a smart move to do that.
Yeah.
And in our, those parts of the world, in the Muslim countries and, Africa and so forth, people get emotional very quickly, and you can radicalize them into for or against somebody. So you have to, it's a lot of power you have influence on the people.
Yeah, that's true. They just came out of a war, or a civil war.
A very long civil war.
No,
the
recent one.
The Eritrea one.
That one.
No,
I have no idea what I'm talking about. I just thought of that one to make it sound like I know what I'm saying.
Well, they did have one that was out for I'm
talking about the original.
Nah, but this one is just the one that happened this year. Was it? Yeah, no. The end of last year, the end of 2020, and it ended a couple of weeks ago. That was the establishment versus this small region called Tigray, or the Tigray people.
Yes.
Tigray, is that part of Eritrea?
No. So there's Eritreans that are Tigray.
Yep.
But no, it's not part of Eritrea.
Okay.
It's still part of Ethiopia. They were the actual ruling class for a long time until this guy came into power.
And what's the percentage of Tigray in Ethiopia?
Probably like 10%, 8%.
Is that right?
Yeah. So they're a minority, but for a long time have been the ruling class. And they were opposed again, to this guy because of his Oromo lineage, but it's not really Oromo anyway. So I don't know what the issue was.
Really yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like just back to the Malik Ambar thing with the African in the subcontinent. The world is a mixture, subhanAllah. I was just reading about the Sidis, and in Pakistan they call them Shidis, which are like African Pakistanis. So the biggest group in South Asia is in Pakistan, 250,000. Shidis are like the Africans, the descendant of slaves. So see this history, like those people are still, like we talk about African Americans, there's like Afro Pakistanis, and there's Afro Indians, Sidis, and they call them Habashis historically, and and they're from Habasha. Yeah. But these are descendants of slaves or soldiers who stayed back, but they had been ostracized, they like growing up in ghettos, and there's a lot of zulm done to them. They still maintain some of their festivals and cultural words and like historical words, like in their communities. There's certain words, African words they use from their languages.
Yeah.
But
I want to know what those words are to see if I understand.
Yeah, you go online, you probably find.
It'd be interesting.
But the thing is that those people, they were they're marginalized in, like, for example, in Pakistan, they're not treated like, they maybe treated like second or worse class citizens. So
do people consider them as Pakistani, or are they like foreigners?
I wouldn't call them foreigners, but the Indian ones, I saw an interview. They said, like, you can see the pain these people are going through.
Yeah. Like
she said, just to go into a place where you'll be like just normal. Like, it was so sad to hear, like, the person talking. Like, they've been living there for centuries. But the way the lady said that, he goes, like, just to know that everybody just doesn't look at you as an outsider. Very sad. Like, when you look, that's a very painful, traumatic. These people are going through intergenerational trauma.
Yeah.
So back to what we were saying about Black Lives Matter and all that. Muslims have a lot of, like, some people say, don't talk about it. Why do we need to keep talking about this? Why does it even mention? No, we have like historical racist roots, historical zulm has been done, and those things have been corrected. Like the fact that
you can't use that and pigeonhole that and call it Muslims though. You could say this country, that country, that country.
Like in Pakistan, but Pakistan is 99% Muslim, and they're all Muslims as well. 250,000 people exist generally not in a very good extreme poverty. And the reason why is because they're descendant of slaves. Yeah, and they were not slaves like they were one like you fight like they're fighting the Romans, Sahaba fighting Romans or Persians, whatever. These were slaves who were just harvested like from Africa. And
I understand that, but the thing where I'm coming from is when we say Muslims, then it's like saying, for example, everyone from the UK that came to Australia, these Christians did that, but we don't say that. Or the French went to, West Africa. We don't say that.
Because for us, our Islamic identity is more stronger than our ethnic identity.
But I think that's something that we have to understand as well and move a little bit away from that, of saying Muslims, even ourselves as Muslims, because, well, it wasn't Muslims. Well, they were Muslim, yes, their religion, but we know that's against Islam. So that's got nothing to do with Islam. So you could say, like you said, the Arabs or the Indonesians. Not that
But
the
as a
Indonesians
Muslim,
do anything.
you're more accountable to your Islamic identity than you are to your ethnic identity. You're supposed to be.
You're supposed to be, but these
Yeah.
people weren't.
Yeah.
So, not that I'm saying they
I
weren't
get
Muslims.
what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
But I think, and this is what this is what we talk about when we hear stuff in the media about this Muslim man robbed someone. They don't, instead of saying his name.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, of course, man.
I've never heard
Every
that.
time
I've never
something
heard that.
happens major, and the name is Muslim, they will always bring some sort of
I
Islam
don't know.
thing into it.
Show example.
I will show you examples in any
week, bring an
newspaper
example.
article.
No.
Well,
Seriously.
think about it this way.
I've never heard a
if you
Muslim.
want to sell a newspaper, right, and you have two stories. One is just by a regular, Aussie white guy, and the other is some guy named Muhammad.
Yeah.
You're gonna run the Muhammad story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. If I'm just thinking,
Prophets.
yeah, prophets, and I'm gonna be
Yeah.
running Muhammad,
Yep.
because that's what people are gonna be,
Yeah.
listening to.
Allahu Alam. Yeah.
Let's definitely have a look at what about Mr. Someone we haven't heard from actually in a long time, Mr. Trump.
Yes.
Are we all coming down from Donald Trump's presidency? Is it
4
like
years
the
of
world-
abuse. That's what we're coming
Yeah,
out.
is-
Twitter's quiet. Internet's
Is
quiet.
the world breathing a sigh of relief, or what's happening? Because
It's so back to normal.
yeah, it's
and
not
boring.
as in your face
He's getting
anymore.
impeached today and tomorrow.
Mm.
Yeah.
The impeachment's running for 2 days.
Well,
60.
apparently they played the video of his speech. Can you imagine what a glossy job the Democrats would have done of
Yeah,
his
they chopped
speech
that
and
up
the
though.
Capitol
Yeah.
riots?
Put it
Yeah,
together, this, that.
Put it together. There was like senators crying and people were just in shock. And I'm just thinking to myself, do you guys not understand the machine that is behind making this video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see if any of them actually
What do you mean machine?
were at his speech to listen to the speech.
They were
They
in
can-
in the Capitol.
Yeah,
They
true.
were actually they were in the Capitol.
Hiding-
He gave the
hiding under the
speech, and they
table.
were exactly. So they were the result of his speech.
I mean, they're dealing with the aftermath, but in terms of general politics and things are like sort of like I don't mean like in a good way, but like it's things are sort of getting normal.
Everyone's chilling out.
Yeah.
Everyone's just like, oh,
he was just non-stop.
World War III is not going to start
That news
tomorrow.
cycle was like
Yeah,
constant.
there's no tweets. No one's going to.
3 o'clock in the morning tweets.
No one's got their finger on the button that we need to
Yeah.
worry about.
Speaking of World War III, Biden's gone pretty heavy in Syria again.
Has he?
Is he?
Yeah,
Oh,
he's gone
gone
full throttle.
Has he?
Yeah,
he
against
done?
what, Bashar Assad?
I don't know if it's Bashar Assad, but
Yeah, it would be.
The regime, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's what they're going to say, but it's the pipeline, the oil.
Yeah.
They want that oil. And
Uh,
Donald Trump put a monkey wrench in that plan. So
Yeah.
It's
So
in-
maybe that's why it's so quiet, because they're not as in your face as Donald Trump, and it's like,
Now
well,
that back,
let the world recover. We'll do what we need to.
yeah.
That's an interesting.
Maybe is it worse? Is it better? Lord.
and it-
Well, at least he did one good thing, Biden, which is that basically not renegotiate but cancel the weapon agreements with Saudi Arabia because of the
war in Yemen.
war in Yemen.
yeah,
War in
yeah.
Yemen.
Alhamdulillah.
That
Yeah,
might be
Biden
at
did that,
least
right?
maybe make people, all those countries think twice about bombing their neighbors.
yeah.
Inshallah, because the people in Yemen are suffering like this. They're on starvation. Like 1 million people starving to death. So
My
What a
wife
taste.
There's a famine. There's a famine.
recently went to Ethiopia, like to go visit her family. And she
Recently,
Yeah, like not recently, but like
Pre-COVID.
a few months ago, like yes, before COVID. And I remember her telling, because this war's been going on for a while, the
Yeah.
Saudi and Yemeni war, and she told me she saw, like Arabs in Ethiopia begging,
yeah,
and that's
yeah.
such a
They're going
such a
to
weird thing to see,
they're going refugees to in Somalia, because before Somalia, because of the war, they used to go to Yemen.
Yeah,
Now the Yemenis are going to Somalia. I mean, they already have long historical links and intermarriages and so forth, but the Yemenis are now going. They become refugees in Somalia. It's going the other way now.
what a wacky world we live in.
subhanallah. Yeah. I mean, you never know that your state.
Yeah, things can change. Like
Overnight, Allah subhanahu wa
Overnight.
ta'ala
Yeah,
could
yeah.
just change it.
Well, look at COVID, the how the world changed and how people are
Subhanallah.
behaving. Like you wouldn't know it in the restaurant, but like you wouldn't think that.
The restaurant we
I went to-
today.
Was
there
it packed?
Yeah, it was packed. There was, I wouldn't. Yeah, no social distancing.
Nothing. Yeah.
Yeah,
But Vic Roads, when we went to Vic Roads, I went to Vic Roads a couple of hours before that. Make you line up in the hot sun out inside in the street, spaced apart, QR code, this, that. And so subhanAllah, like it's a
Government building, that's why.
yeah. They have to put your mask on. You know, it doesn't even make like this. It doesn't even make sense. It's like there's just two sets of rules. Like it's confusing actually. You know?
The main thing is make dua. Ask Allah to make it easy. Do not, and I repeat, do not watch your sons chop chop. All right, and we love the people of Oromia.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you for joining us. Please subscribe, like, and press the bell icon. Also, do comment in the feedback section. Provide feedback in the comment section below. And have an awesome week. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.